The main thing that has been rumbling through my mind this week has revolved around resolutions and resilience. And I didn't mean to just use three similar words in one sentence. That's just what just happened. But I think a lot of people um, want immediate gratification. Our world is literally created so that we can purchase immediate gratification. And the danger of this is that it's addicting and it makes us forget that hard work and determination creates insanely magical results. And I think a lot of people will, as they do every year, set a resolution, and maybe they will decide to start running, or they'll decide to start eating healthy, or decide to start a meditation practice. All amazing, beautiful things, but all things that will take time to see change. And I think the hard part about starting a new practice or getting into a new way of seeing and living your life is when you make big changes, it stems from these small changes. So, a small change could be deciding that you want to go for a 5 minute walk in the morning before you start your day, or you decide, I'm going to write that book this year. So I'm going to take 10 minutes of my morning, sit down at my desk, and just stream of consciousness write. Just get it out. And then maybe those pages don't get added to the book, but at least you're writing something. And I think people forget that these small changes that seemingly have minuscule effects, because it's like, how big of a difference could it really make? But as I've said before and have come to increasingly depend on, is these small, tiny changes add up over time. So, though that 10 minutes of writing may not end up in even a first chapter in a month, it'll still bring you closer. And I think that is where the concept of resilience comes into place, um, because a lot of these changes towards our mental health and spiritual health are inherently unseen, and it almost feels like, what could possibly be the point of this if I'm not seeing any change? And I think that's where journaling can come into play, because the way that we can see change in our mindset and in our spiritual practices is by keeping track, so we can go back and look and experience these states of mind that we were in, and then where we are 30 days after we meditate 5 minutes every day, or where we're at 60 days after we decide to take up a meditation practice, or a walking practice, or whatever. And I think it's really hard to do in our world of instant gratification, because the way that our devices, the way that the radio, like every single thing in our life bombards us with information, and it it keeps us stimulated and full of junk, essentially, right? So if we are full of junk in our mind and in our spirit and in our energy fields, then how could we possibly hear what we're trying to tell ourselves, right? So it's like, if you're asking for what to do next, or you're asking for a direction to go, the first step needs to be, to a certain degree, that like cleansing and dropping of the external stimulation, the dopamine from scrolling, the caffeine intake, the the things that we do that we feel like we need to do every day to get through the day are not always the things that are actually helping us. Um, I definitely have creators and videos I like to watch on TikTok and on YouTube, but if I spend all my time then, even in a healthier way, of like not watching not watching junk food, but I'm watching like a spirituality podcast or like a self-help podcast or something like that, it's still not quite what I need to be doing if I'm asking myself, where do I move next? Because that podcast isn't going to tell me. That podcast might give me 5 different things that I can do to create that space for me to hear that. But it's time, it's slow, it's bite-sized pieces, it's chunks, and I think if we all were able to, if you are interested in developing your mind, in developing your spiritual relationship to yourself and the world, the universe, others, if you are looking for ways to act in service, if you're looking for ways to have more fun and play, like the initial action, the like starting the 5 minutes a day is the first hardest part. The second hardest part is continuing on and developing resilience when you know you're doing things that are beneficial to you, but you are seeing absolutely no evidence in your environment that anything is changing. And I can say for myself, it's taken me months, if not years, to kind of like finally understand this concept. And of course, like I'm never understanding anything to its fullest degree, but I think I'm at this moment where some of my practices are being seen externally, but most of them are just internal. I'm only seeing differences internally, and I'm still waiting for that to reflect in my external experience. So when I say these like internal versus external experiences, I see the world as a mirror, a reflection of my internal world. So if I feel like I'm not good enough, then that could reflect as me feeling, not other people judging, but me feeling very judged, me feeling more criticized. Like, if we think of the concept of self and how we interact with the world, it comes down to a couple things. How you think about yourself and how you think about the situation, how you feel about yourself and about the situation, and then what you see about yourself and about the situation. We use our senses to navigate this realm of Earth, and I want to be careful because there's like a spiritual bypassing concept that I kind of forget about sometimes and like ride that line a little bit too hard, of like nothing is real. If everything is inherently just you and you experiencing a like matrix, that can be really negative because it's like then what if you do something shitty and hurt somebody's feelings? It's not your feelings, it's their feelings, right? And that can be kind of like a weird like slippery slope. So I think it's important to keep that in mind with these concepts. But kind of what I mean by internal and external worlds, just coming back to that concept, is like I have spent years trying to figure out why I don't feel good enough, right? Years. My entire life. And I've always held this concept of worthiness. If I was ever in a group of people and it was like choose a word to bring into your next year, I always chose worthiness. And everyone always just kind of was like, well, yeah, whatever. And to me, I was like, no, like, I am on a journey to figure out why I don't have this thing that everyone else seems to have, right? And the journey of finding worthiness is not an external experience, right? Like, that whole concept is an internal shift that needs to be like rifled through the papers in your brain, and you're like, where did this come from? Okay, these are the 20 things that happened that are the main things that, you know, traumatized me in this specific way so that I feel this. And so that's the mind piece. And then it's like, okay, these are the different situations that made me feel this sense of unworthiness, and like reaffirmed that within myself, right? And then there's like the seeing bit of like, okay, so I have like experienced these feelings of unworthiness, and now I carry it around in my backpack, and now I look out of my little unworthiness glasses and I look around and I'm like, not good enough for that person, not good enough for that experience, you know. And sometimes I'll enter those and then run away from them, or a myriad of things can happen, right? But I'm in this moment where I, over the past year, I would say more explicitly, I have like really tried to work on and decondition that in my brain. So I, you know, starts with taking off the backpack and opening it and like looking at what am I carrying, you know? And then it's like, what are all these like folders in my mind full of all this like data that is just like compiled and like categorized in a way that's really negative, or, you know, whatever. I feel like I'm explaining a very abstract concept in a very abstract way, but I hope this makes sense. And it's like, I'm not seeing any change externally. Like, I'm not having all the successes in my external world. I'm not like, you know, living that high baller life, right? But at the same time, that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for worthiness, right? So um if over the past 6 months I haven't seen a change externally in my physical world, not in my like body or mind, but yet I have dramatically changed the way that I think about myself, the way that I think about the world, the way that I think about my interactions with people, my relationships, etc., etc., etc. Like, I have become a different person many times in my life, but substantially in this moment because it's suddenly over a period of a decade or more of like searching within, trying something, failing at it, trying again, trying something, failing at it, trying again, trying something else. Like the resilience that comes from like failure is incredible. And I think the biggest change I've seen, only being internal, is that, yeah, of course I still think people think I'm stupid, or people think I'm weird, or people think I'm whatever, or people hate me, like I still have those thoughts, but it's starting to matter less because I don't think of myself that way, right? And so I'll let you know when any of it is seen externally. Um, but I think that's part of why I'm making these videos, because I am feeling like I'm changing and like growing so rapidly right now that this is a great way to kind of like watch it happen. And I think that's like the main reason why consistency is really the key piece in this. For me right now, it is consistency, right? But it's imperfect consistency, right? At least for me, because I feel like I can't do things until I have, let me correct that in real time. I have felt like I need things to be perfect before I release them. I need my art to be perfect. I need my videos to be perfect. I need to record something like this 100 times until I get it right. And guess what? I record this once. If I don't like it, I record an entire new video. And I have actually, in the 2 months that I've been doing this and recording other videos, I've only re-recorded one, and I didn't even re-record the same thing. I just recorded something else. And I think there's something about just like letting the words come out that for some reason are part of what I'm supposed to be learning, and I don't know where it's going, but I just keep feeling drawn to this form of communication. And okay, so last thing about resilience is that though I feel as though I'm not seeing my mental growth and my spiritual growth externally, the way that I am seeing it is not taking failure as such a big blow, right? I think I'm now navigating my life by, oh, that thing, that feels really bad. Woof, ouch, like, fuck, and things will hurt really bad. But instead of dwelling on that and being like, fuck, I really needed that to work. I really wanted that to work. That was my only way of like the grasping onto that is like, if a failure comes or if something is like blown up in my face or something like that, I say, wow, that sucks. All right. And then I like look at what's next. I just immediately move on to the next thing because I'm like, okay, if that's not for me, then I'm not going to try to force it. I'm not going to try to push it. And so I think that's a lot about like specifically where I'm at with my art right now. I feel like pottery was a great thing for a while. That petered out. I'm really into fabric, but that was an absolute flop. Um, I will continue on the fabric train, but I think it was a flop because I was trying to do it again for finances. And that's, for me, something I've learned and I'm kind of like annoyed at within myself, but I guess it's just part of my journey, is that when I make something with the intention to sell it, the energy of it just sucks right out of me. Like, even if I think something's really cool, really awesome, something about me making it for money just like isn't working. And so instead of being like, I've always dreamed of being an artist and like supporting myself through art, I'm like, all right, I guess that's not what it is right now. So until that is what it is, I'm gonna just turn and look and walk in this direction. And I've been doing a lot of writing and working on my book that I've been writing for a little over a year, I would say. And I'll probably talk about it a bunch because I'm kind of really hyper passionate about it at the moment. But I think it's like, that's where my like attention is right now. And there's a lot to be said for where your attention internally is like where you will go. And I think, just to bring it full circle, that is why we focus on bettering ourselves and meditation and exercising and eating well and doing these things that help the body, mind, and soul. Like, what else is there in life but like superficial reality? And of course, there's not only those two things. I don't mean to just like say if you're not working on yourself, you're superficial. That's absolutely not where I'm going with that. But I think it's an important question to ask yourself of like, how can I be there for myself? How can I support myself? How can I love myself every day for 5 minutes? I mean, do you intentionally take time out of your day to love yourself? And if not, why? Right? So I'll catch you guys next week. This one, I feel pretty good about this one. So I hope it ends up making sense. We definitely have gotten more than 6 inches of snow in the past couple days, so I might go make a snowman. We'll see. If you haven't already and you have watched this all the way to the end, please give this video a like and subscribe in order to allow me to grow on this platform. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, if it's snowy or if it's sunny, and I hope you take 5 minutes today to just sit with yourself and send yourself some love. I know I'll be. And I'll be sending everyone that watches this video a little bit of self-love, if energy can transmit through videos like that, which I kind of believe that they do. So if you're into receiving that, then it's coming your way.